All right, Pat, not that long ago, you had your very own Weezer episode almost entirely to yourself. I got a little jealous. I'm wanting some more screen time, stream time, airwave time. We're going to talk.
That's fine. I would like to point out that I wasn't begging for that to happen. No. It was just always an option. The description on the episode made it seem like I was like sending threats to your in the mail, snail mail to you and stuff. But we were just both really busy that week. And I want the people who listen to the show to know that's all that was. You know, I was obviously not super prepared for it. It's not like I had been, it's like Googled a couple quick things. Anyway, I'm just saying like the narrative around it, I would like to be excluded from it. Well, I'm just going to pull it too swift here and exclude myself.
Well, that's not how I remember it, so let's start the show.
Oh, God.
What is going on, everybody? I'm Tom.
And I'm Pat.
We're best friends, and you're listening to the Reminiscent Podcast. No, I love that Taylor Swift little deep cut callback there. Love it. Good stuff.
I'm glad you love it, but I need the world to know that that was not a begging situation. I'm not mad, but it's just like, whoa. Tom and I each have our duties for the show. And I was like, oh, okay, I guess I begged to do this. All right, that's pretty interesting.
You were, okay, maybe I interpreted your offer for whatever as you really wanting to do it. So
oh no, I did, but I don't think I was big. It was just like, hey man, because you were drowning in work that week, so it was like, I can do this. I can totally, like, it was just something that we both knew was able to be out there, which leading into this episode, it's not that you can't. I mean, you really want to talk about fireworks, which, can I blame you? I can't. So yeah, if nothing else, I don't want to end up wasting the first 10 minutes of the show arguing about who likes which bands, because obviously we differ on a lot of things, as many things, if not more, than we do agree on. So I would like to embrace the excitement and not squabble, but I would like to say that there was no, I wasn't putting a knife to your neck necessarily on the Weezer thing. You say okay, but I need you to believe it. I
believe it, Pat. Anyways.
Okay.
So this is probably going to be a me-heavy episode because we're talking about fireworks, specifically the song and music video for Detroit. This is like early 2009, and this is about the point where I think Pat and I, with the exception of the Upside, started listening to different music. So like 2004 to 2008, we had our differences, but I think we were kind of on the same page, paying attention to the same releases, and around 2009, it started diverging. We are graduating high school, going off to college in 2009. I was introduced to a lot of music through a new music Sherpa, Ryan Zimmerman, who I ended up going to college with in DC, living with him for like 6 months before he ended up transferring schools because he realized the school was a scam way before I did. But he introduced me to a lot of bands like 4 Years Strong, The Wonder Years even. Oh my gosh. With the Punches, tons of bands, but Fireworks was one of them. And we ended up seeing, the first year we heard them was probably late 2008 into early 2009. And we saw them like 3 times in one summer. And it was just a band that like they were playing with
down in DC or
no. So this was still in high school. We saw them with A Loss for Words, Title Fight, in Transit. And I don't think they came to Erie. Title Fight, they were still in high school. I think they were younger than us at the time when they were touring. And that was a really fun show. And then we saw them again. I think we also saw them with 4 Years Strong, Set Your Goals, and the Swellers. And at one point, he borrowed his mom's van, and we drove to Cleveland to see them with New Found Glory. And this is one of the specific memories I had. One of those shows was in Erie because there was a fight. And I remember the singer of Fireworks, they stopped the song and they're like, oh, wow, fucking tough guy starting a fight at a pop punk show. You're so tough, dude. Just like heckling him from the stage. And it was so funny to me because like fights they happen at hardcore shows all the time, but not the pop punk shows.
Well, that's why we rarely go super history lesson on the show, but we talk about obviously Ian MacKaye a lot because you lived in DC for a while, and that's obviously where the roots of hardcore emo, whatever, we won't get too deep into it, but
And straight edge,
after a while,
motherfucker.
the slam dancing, the slam dancing stuff, he started to be like, okay, that's can't be what this is about. So yeah, it's funny that it transformed years later into people just openly heckling from the stage, like, cool, tough guy, dope, nice, good fight, cuss out, like, because yeah, after a while, it's like, it's not a expression of art. It becomes more of a muscle-based trying to injure each other thing.
Yeah.
Little tough. Yeah, a little tough.
So we saw them like a few weeks later out of town, and they were on stage, and Ryan and I were like front row, and we were like, oh, you guys are so cool. We were at the show not long ago, and these two douchebags are fighting, and Ryan was like, we were there. That's from Erie. And they were like, oh my God, I remember you guys there. And like,
nice.
Yeah, it was just fun. The 3 times we saw them, Time was still drumming with them, and he would come out and talk. I mean, they all came out and talked with everyone, but he like remembered our names, which felt like incredible. So, we really like them because they wrote good music, super down to earth. And one of my favorite memories, we went to Cleveland to see Newfound Glory, and we got there like hella early, hours early, to be like up in the front, and Shai Hulud was supposed to play, which was like, I think Chad played in that band, and these two dudes said they traveled from like Kansas or some shit to see Shai Hulud. They're like, this is our favorite fucking band, dude. We've never seen them. We're so stoked. And they waited for hours, traveled like half a day, waited for hours before the door opened.
Is that the craziest we've come so far to be here story you've ever heard about a show?
Maybe only because Shai Hulud is such like I don't want to say like a nothing band, but like, at least in my perception anyway, not a big enough deal to travel like an entire day or half a day to see them. But these dudes, they were like probably in their 40s, Ryan and I are 17 or 18, and they were so hyped. And then right before the show started, the lights go down. They're like, we have an announcement. Shai Hulud will not be playing tonight. And I just heard this voice go, from like the crowd, which is like, that had to be that guy,
Yeah.
Oh, such a bummer. Anyway, lots of good memories with the band, and I just thought they wrote really incredible.
I can't believe they recognized you.
Yeah, I mean, we both looked pretty unique little scene boys at the time, so maybe it wasn't
you had
too hard to pick out.
little scene boyness to you. I can see that, little scene boy.
So, to me, like, if we talk about like,
you mentioned Chad, what was up there? They knew him. Chad from Newfound Glory.
He produced this record. All I have to offer is my own confusion, which is a Jack Kerouac quote. And yeah, Chad produced a lot of good bands, so naturally they got on the NFG bill.
So you've reached my first question for the whole episode.
Uh-huh.
I have 3 prepared because I would like to chime in at here and there. Question 1 of this episode. Is Chad the rose-colored boy? We don't have to spend a ton of time on this, but I wanted to ask it because I know Chad would come up.
I don't know the lyrics of that song.
Yeah. Basically, she's you got to weather the storm and hang out. It'll be cool. Just let me cry sometimes type thing. It seems like a New Flame type song, but there was a tweet that surfaced earlier where somebody screenshotted him saying like, yeah, I love her new music. Like, I love Rose Colored Boy, like a few years back when in theory they were still together, I suppose. But there's no way he's the Rose Colored Boy, right? I think that's my point. Like, it would have been written around the time they should have been still together. So
Hearts are breaking,
anyway.
Wars are raging on. And I have taken my glasses off. You got me nervous because I'm right at the end of my rope. A half-empty girl. Don't make me laugh. I'll choke. Yikes. But I guess he was kind of an asshole. I mean, from what I hear from our Paramore
Well, it's a really
fans.
happy song. Like, Rose Colored Boy is supposed to be this like New Flame thing where he's like this all happy-go-lucky guy. But I always laugh when people like Jeremy tweet us and they're like, yo, Chad, I didn't know he's big as like, he's just a large guy. I have no idea. Like, people side with Haley a lot, but I'm like, Chad being such a dynamic producer, I guess, at least on this mid-level, can I say mid-level without being disrespectful?
Sure.
But like this, coming up punk scene, I guess, on the up and coming, I should say. I didn't realize he was really tapping into some of that stuff.
Well, yeah, I mean, saying mid-level, that actually is a point that I wanted to make. And I know other people have kind of been on Twitter lately because Fireworks recently got back together, but There were a lot of people who were like screaming for justice for the work that Fireworks did, and they never quite blew up. So like in terms of the genre, like I feel like Fireworks is like a deep cut of the pop punk genre, and they definitely had their fans, but they never like, they toured with the Wonder Years, and that super nasally voice in All My Friends Are in Bar Bands that you talked about on the Upsides episode, that's David, the singer of Fireworks. So like they were present in the scene. They were making big moves. They never had the headlining tour. Honestly, I think their music was good enough, especially like some of the songs in gospel even really ripped. But anyways, I know I'm getting super self-indulgent, but
no, that's what this episode's for. I'll lay my second question that I have on for you. Ding, ding, ding. Are you ready for this?
Oh yeah.
Well, after listening to the song a few times this week in preparation for this episode, does the chorus fit this song? Could it part B?
Yeah.
Does their songwriting ability keep them from that headlining pop punk tour? Like, is there a reason they weren't more famous? Because it seemed like they had the momentum, they had the energy, they had so much showmanship.
Right.
They were with the Wonder Years, they were in the scene, they were in the vibe. My question is this: is the chorus out of place for the song in general? Can energy only get you so far, or am I misreading how you interpret what this band represents?
Well, again, I'm not the lyrics master, but these really hit me. For the chorus, you're talking about the woes, you don't need maps, right?
Yes.
And what do you think it's lacking? Like lyrical content?
I just think it's like the wrong puzzle piece. I think it's a really good chorus. I just think they say, whoa, oh, sing a thing, and go back to this other beautiful song where the verses are nice, the instrumental stuff is nice, but then it kind of tails off at the end. It's kind of this meandering little journey with a couple or three choruses that is a really fun whoa, pop punk chorus. I just am curious, like, I wonder if they're early in their career figuring out songwriting or something, because there's a lot of great elements here. It's so fun. It's so great. But I wasn't sure if this is a great song. That was my first question, approaching them in hindsight now as a fresh ear.
So when we get to the bridge, I mean, we're jumping way ahead, but when we get to the bridge of "We pray for the worst things," it used to be beeped, but making presidential threats. I get you on the meandering aspect of the song. There's different energies flowing in and out. The chorus seems like a sudden departure. Still has some of the similar like guitar themes and whatnot. I don't know, man. I mean, the venues exploded when they played this song.
Well, yeah, I mean, it would be hard not to. I mean,
Yeah.
we're pretty soon off of our Adam Schlesinger episode, and maybe I'm just too high on listening to Fountains of Wayne stuff now that we've been talking about him so much recently. Rest in peace, of course. But I'm picturing that you don't need maps when, and the verses reflecting that a little more, and it being a shorter, maybe 2-minute, 20-second song instead of like an almost 4-minute song with a weird post-bridge journey. It's almost like they had two really good ideas that I'm just saying, like, maybe it's just an early band figuring their songwriting abilities out. It's really fun and really good. I'm not saying it's bad at all. I just was curious if that ever crossed your mind in your relationship with the band at all.
Well, I think it's really unfair to compare anyone to Adam Schlesinger. But
No, I know. We're coming off that episode. I'm
right.
man, that hook has a place somewhere with some energy. I just don't know if there's a really cool other idea they're exploring in this one little package. That was just my thought. I don't want to bogart anything because you wanted to talk about the video and the lyrics, of course, but I really loved it. But after the whoa-whoas, I'm like, oh, okay. It wasn't, I'm sure if I heard it on a bike ride hundreds of times, like one of my back in the day vibe stuff, but it would be like, yeah, of course it makes sense. What are you, fucking stupid? So I'm not saying I'm right or even familiar. I'm just curious if that ever crossed your mind.
Well, that's interesting though, because we definitely have to come at this with like, I'm listening to this song with some pretty heavy nostalgia goggles on, and I felt that raw energy as it was happening, on a stage, no barrier, So I think there's probably a lot of my perception of it that's been colored by that. But I mean, if we are comparing this to like a pop formula, Adam Schlesinger just like going for a top 40 hit, this doesn't have that. So I think it's really fair of you to say that. I mean, I guess like if we're looking at this compared to, God forbid, 1985 by Bowling for Soup or something,
Or no, even compare it to Wonder Years. I mean, it seemed like they had songs that, okay, this is the ukulele song. This is the, the 1 minute, 10-second punk explosion song. I just like, if this is their big, well, let me ask you this. Is this their big hit?
I guess I perceived it as that, but I'm not actually sure. That's my memory, but it's also been 11 years. So
right. Well, I mean, if the venues you were touring with them, it's seemingly watching them. So that's what I'm saying. Like, it seemed like people used to go nuts for it. So, I mean, it's such a relatable chord. I love it so much. It's almost like I don't want to ruin it with my bullshit because I don't know it, and I shouldn't even be taking charge of this episode like this. But I think what I'm trying to say is like, I wonder if there are 2 songs here. I think that's really what I'm trying to say. Like, I wonder if they could have had 2 really cool songs out of this idea because they had so much energy. The video's so fun. The song itself works and is good. I'm not even saying it's a bad song. I'm just like, man, there's so much creative energy hidden in this little package. There's a lot going for them.
No, it's interesting. I kind of just want to explore that more. I don't know what else I really have to say, but I feel like there's probably a good case study in why Fireworks didn't become Wonder Years level. And I'm sure it's just, they had this more bombastic, through standard format to the wind,
well, the rest, anything non-chorus is so beautiful and there's some stuff there. I think what I'm trying to say is, we've done episodes on 4 Years Strong, I guess might be a decent comparison as well, where they doubled down on the fact that these are the gang vocal guitar part albums that we're going to commit to. And they had so much going on and all of it was good and fun. It's like, man, I want you to expand on all of this. And, maybe again, I'm not familiar with their catalog, so I shouldn't even be speaking to any of these things, but that was my thing. It's like, wow, there's some talent here. Again, what I'm trying to do is compliment the band. I just want, the roots of this are if you had those thoughts when you first heard them at all. That's my only real question.
I don't know. I think I just loved the raw energy. That's really what I was attracted to. And also, I think it was just around this time, because of like the bands Ryan was introducing me to, I was going off on this new streak of like, first of all, going to a lot more, bigger shows outside of Erie, Forward Hall, the Edinburgh Hangout, and, seeing Newfound Glory 7 times in 1 year because tickets were, $4.50 or whatever. But it was a really formative time for me, and I think they might have just hit at the right time to be one of the bands I look back on really fondly. But yeah, they just never really got to that critical mass, I guess. But they're coming back, so I guess they have another crack at it. But before we spend too much more time, I do want to talk about the music video. I mean, if you look at the thing as a whole, there's not that much to say. We could go frame by frame, but essentially it's super high energy, people riding bikes, going to an unknown destination, spliced in with very good performance shots. I mean, that could sum up the entire video. But
well, let's not rush this.
Oh no,
I mean, they are breathing crazy. Yeah. They're breathing real fog. So it's freezing. Are they from Detroit? Am I allowed to ask that? I don't know how much of a tourist I'm allowed to be here. Because again, I'm not familiar with them. So they're from Detroit. They're on the Great Lakes like we are, or Lake Erie specifically like we are. Yeah, I'm assuming it's freezing based on the breath they're breathing in that video. And you and I both talked about this in the pre-show. It was raining for real? ?
I think it had to have been. I don't know if they would have a water budget for this shoot. You know what I mean? Like with the sprinklers and stuff. But also,
it reminded me. Oh, just real quick, it reminded me of the Fall Out Boy Grand Theft Auto music video where they're just like freezing in the Chicago winter next to this barn. Like, if they were more famous, they wouldn't have frozen their cojones off like that in the middle of the evening. You know what I mean? Like, it's like, yeah, they're out there breathing in the cold rain. Like, I guess that's when they asked all their friends to be there or something, because it was like, it seemed pretty, but it made it look so much better.
Oh yeah, it looked awesome because it was like, dark, kind of foggy with their breath, rain coming down, shooting up into the lights. It was a tennis court, basketball court, couldn't quite tell.
Yeah, something city, municipal complex.
Sure. But I mean, 2000. When anyone thinks of me from 2010 or anyone knew me from then, I could probably be defined by my bicycle. So clearly this song in this video was written specifically for me. They had me in mind when they with every frame.
I
that
even
they filmed.
texted you that. So I was new to all of this, and I texted you, earlier this week before we recorded. I was like, they didn't did they know you personally? Is this for you? You know what I mean? Like, because there's so many elements of it that are like, oh God, this is a Tom song 10 times over.
Right. And especially as we get deeper into like the lyrical content and whatnot, the themes of it. But, the video opens up on 5, 6, 7, 8 guys riding their bike in the middle of the street in traffic, headbanging, singing the out of this song. Like, no time to warm up. You are in it. We are here. We're doing the damn thing. And it just like explodes open with the woes. And then it, quickly goes to the performance shots to just establish the back and forth. And, speaking of the budget, like they didn't have the rain budget, but also my other thought was like, do they have the budget to replace all their instruments now that they're waterlogged from this rain? Like,
Hey, I mean, do you buy a couple burners or, cheapest, whatever you can find? I mean, there are those types of yard sales where people are just like, just take my guitar. It doesn't even have strings or the fretboard is all, like, it's weird going to like, Jessie really loves antique malls, and it's one of the things we do on Saturdays every once in a while because she really likes it. And I'll look at the guitars every once in a while, and it'll be like $300 for some really, really flawed acoustic, which again might be a classic. I'd have to look it up. I'm sure it's priced based on standard flea market, whatever. But I'm like, oh God, why? You know what I mean? Like, anyway, it's just, I'm sure they found some trash ones to trash because, oh, that would be so awful for an up and coming band, right? To have to redo all your, like, when we were a band, we bought a bass amp with our t-shirt money, which was a bad purchase because I was such an awful bass player. Like, why would you accent your band's weakness? But sorry, workshopping jokes here. That one didn't land because it hit too close to home, it sounds like. Plus, where did that amp end up? None of us know. I think the school confiscated it or something. But yeah, no, that'd be a tough thing if it. Yeah, exactly. I think that's probably why you didn't laugh, because you're like, I don't know, that's $400 we're never going to see again. But like, against all odds, the t-shirt's actually sold. It's like, oh, what should we spend it on? I should have been like, don't guys, don't, buy some pedals. Damn it. No, please just let me not be heard on this Marshall 12-inch or whatever. But anyway, yes. Yeah. Getting your instruments would be awful. In terms of how accurate is the headbanging on your bike while listening to music riding thing for you, just as a bike rider, listener of music, man, this made for you. Just talk to me about every part of it. Like, is this your life?
Okay, so I actually have a very specific memory that I didn't know I had until I was watching this video.
Those are my favorite kind of memories.
I talk a lot about how 8th grade was so incredible, and all the friends I made, the genuine connections, but it took like maybe a month, maybe even 2 to really integrate with that place. I didn't really know anybody. And the first people that, like, I guess, took a chance on becoming my friend were the, I guess, the sketchier crowd. I'm not really sure why, but I remember...
DC, dude, hardcore.
I remember riding my bike to school, and I just happened to be riding with these other kids who were like in a similar neighborhood. I didn't really know them that well, but I kind of felt like...
Do you know who they were?
I don't. I think they were I think they might have been freshmen when, we were in 8th grade. I didn't really know them, but
for a second there, I thought you were going to be like, they were in a legitimate gang. They were in the... I was like, oh, just kidding.
They were in our school. They were children.
I actually... Can you bleep the gang name afterward? Because for humor, I wanted to make you laugh, but I don't want to, be specific about it. Anyway, Thank you.
I just felt like, oh, they kind of like me because we're riding bikes together, and they were not actively bullying me, so I felt like I was on the right track. And they wanted me to do this thing where it was kind of like if you headbang, but each time your head goes down, you turn your head to the right and you lift it up, and you turn your head to the left and you do that. And they were trying to be like, oh, can you do this thing, that like...
Was it Andy Huck?
I don't know.
He used to do this thing where I forget if this was before or after he ran away and ended up back at school the next day. It was honestly a thrilling 24 hours in sixth grade history. I'm glad he's okay. Just one of the best, funniest, nicest dudes ever. But we were riding bikes somewhere one day, and he was like, "Can you stay upright on your bike if you headbang and like shake your head as if you're going like, you know what I mean?" So he was like, "Can you continue riding while doing?" And I was like, "I don't know. What a weird idea."
Oh my gosh.
And I did that, and I fell over immediately. I was like, "Oh my God, I can't." It was like a weird balance experiment.
That's what they did to me.
Right. But and I saw in your notes that it was bullying, and I was curious if this was that thing, because I'm sure Wesleyville and Lawrence Park are only so big. I'm sure he heard it from the same, 1 degree of separation or whatever, but he didn't present it to me as a bullying thing. It was more just like, isn't that wild? It's just kind of like people like the pass out game or the erase the skin off your arm game, or all those weird junior high dumb things that pass on. It's like, isn't it so cool? You fall over immediately. Like he sold it as a stupid thing.
Well, when I fell over, they all laughed and ran off.
Oh, okay. That was more of a psychological warfare. Because Andy was like, "Oh my God, I fell too," and he helped me up, and we just talked about it. Like it was like a much friendlier vibe. I'm sorry you had to experience. So these other guys in my neighborhood, they came up once, and they were much older. They were kind of the quote unquote druggies or whatever. I was still too young to really have a full grasp, but they're like, "Hey, you want a Pop-Tart?" And it was me and a kid named Dave, and I was just psyched because we were hanging, but we ran into them. I was like, oh God. Anyway, we were with one of our friends, TJ, who was kind of one of the quote unquote, I guess, in Toy Story, there's the kid Sid, or the Sid who he'd run with. TJ was in touch with the Sid-like folk. But he was like, "No, come on, guys. They don't want a Pop-Tart." And we were like, "No, yeah, we're good." Because we were just following his lead. We were scared shitless. But they left, and they were like, "Yeah, that's basically," they were just, if you would have agreed, they would have just whooped your ass and stole your bike. So I was like, "What?
Oh my God.
What world is this?" I was like, "How do you know this?" Like, I a week ago learned what the middle finger meant. This is so much information. So I guess you really don't need maps if you know I think, let's analyze the chorus real quick. Sorry if I'm skipping ahead. I guess you don't need, I thought they were saying you don't need math. I'm like, well, easy. STEM is important. But, but you don't need maps if you know the cracks, which I took to mean like if you're street smart, you're going to get along okay. Or if you have a friend named TJ, you won't get a Pop-Tart in the back of the Westminster Church woods.
Well, okay. So I knew the words, but I never really dug that much into them because I didn't care. I just wanted to scream them at the shows, but
I'm assuming they're the energy of the streets. They're just like, hey, we're some guys, which is like a cool energy to buy into, which I could see why at the shows everyone was so drawn to that. I feel bad picking apart the songwriting so early in the episode because obviously there's a magnetism to it.
Right. Well, I mean, the meaning, I mean, you have to like move a little forward. Let's walk everywhere we can tonight. It's dark, but I tend to see more clearly in this light. So like the whole thing is, this dude walks a lot. There's a lot of anxiety. There's a lot of anger, being too angry at the age of 16. He's walked these roads at night trying to deal with his anger, his depression, frustration so much that he knows where every single crack in the pavement is. So he's like, not only do I not need a map to know where I'm going, I can draw from memory every crack in the pavement. I've done this so many times. And let me just tell you, as a senior in high school, I went on so many walks at night, the same path every time, just with the street lights on, like 10 o'clock. I put on Blink-182, usually take off her pants and jacket, and just walk. It was like a 1.2 miles down there and back. And I would just like do that every night, just to like fighting to stay alive is what it felt like. So I really like right out of the gate felt this song with all of my teenage angsty heart. So I mean, that's my interpretation of it anyways. So,
no, I have no fight on this end. I mean, I'm new to it. And also that sounds perfectly good. Also, I'm a little worried that it wasn't enema because take off your pants means you were in a darker place. So.
Yes.
But that's a different episode. Yeah, no. So, okay. Yeah. I mean, again, this was written for you alone and no one else, I think is what we're learning.
Right. So yeah, the headbanging on the bikes, and you have kids hanging on the fence of the performance. And the first thought was like, this feels very Feeling This, where kids are climbing the fence, clamoring to get into this place where the band's performing. And there's just kids joining them in their bike ride, a very aggressive.
Wait, were you
ride.
hurt when you fell off your bike heading to school? Was this your first day of 8th grade?
No. I've rode the bus for quite a while. No, what the hell? Yeah, I rode the bus.
It's crazy because
I'm not sure.
Dan Majeski, a guy we would have gone to school with in high school, would have grown up a block from you, basically,
Yeah.
and gone to city schools. Like, you were the pretty far reaches of Westyville at that point.
Right.
So you would have normally been a busser, because you would have had to have been on some pretty well-trafficked roads on a bike, I'd imagine.
Yeah, dude, they were busy roads for sure.
Like, I used to ride those with Joey Finati a little, and you could find some routes. I mean, once you get on, I don't know, Water Street. I mean, for a kid, it's busy. I mean, for the world standards, it's not, but for a kid riding their bike to school, it's busy.
Well,
man.
and there's no shoulder and a ditch, and they were like those shitty roads that were like, what is it, tar and chip, where it's like loose rocks that eventually, when you drive over them enough, it almost turns into concrete. So they were not.
Yeah,
good
I don't
roads.
think the township of Lawrence Park or the borough of Westyville were ever exactly swimming in it. I remember my dad and I used to replace the netting at the basketball court down the street, just because, like, it, we're not going to wait. I don't know. It's $8 or something. I don't know. Like, for months of enjoyment, it's worth the the $8 or whatever.
Oh my God, that's so
costs.
funny.
But, just because, like, it's like you want your community to look good, but yeah, some of those side streets and stuff, it's like, this could be a sidewalk and probably should be a sidewalk. It is gravel instead, but not like it was in the country. It was like, again, this is Rust Belt urban, so it's just like very populous, actually. Like, for the mills and it just someone chose not to put sidewalks there. It's just well beaten down gravel. So maybe that's cushioned your fall. I don't know. Maybe that cushioned your fall.
Oh my God. But yeah, not fun streets to ride on, uphill the entire way back home, getting bullied by the older kids, whatever. But in the video, everyone seems to be having a super good time. There's my favorite shot is when two dudes just come out of the water holding their bikes and just join this ride. And again, this music video was directed, shot, edited, especially for me, because in 2009, 2010, I got really into the bike scene in DC, and we would do Critical Mass, where like 300 people on bikes would just take over the entire street first Friday of the month, go through the red lights, make the cars wait. And it kind of turned into that thing where, like, you'd be riding, west on M Street, and someone riding east would see the group and be like, what is this? And it's like, join us. And they would just like hop on and start riding with us. And like, over time, the ride would grow and grow and grow. And there was like this insane energy to that of, like a really huge,
Not needing maps when you know the cracks and whatnot.
right. So I don't know, like, the video seems so simple. It seems like there's not much going on, but the way it's all happening in my brain is like, I've lived this, I've experienced this, with the exception of, even the artist in the park who realizes he wants to be with the group and no longer be alone. And it pans to what he was painting, and it's just a sign that says, I hate myself.
Yeah, there's a couple weird things. There's like a sexual leather outfit thing at some point. There's a motorcycler pulling up into a family's yard and pushing a girl over in her kiddie pool. Like, some of my notes were like, there's a lot about this I'm not sure I'm getting artistically, but also it's also energy in a bundle ready to explode. So it's like, every time I want to say something like, what is this? Something will happen the next 4 seconds. It's like, these are just kids having fun, and I'm old now. You know what I mean? So it's like, it's just like fun is it's super fun. I think that would be the word I would use to describe the whole video overall.
Well, we have a girl that opens a porta potty door, and a guy with a bike comes rolling out of the porta potty. There's like in a juggalo ritual where they're like dousing this girl on her knees with was it Faygo? And she's like,
is that a Juggalo thing?
The Faygo, right? Yeah. No,
no, you would know. I don't know. I mean, there's books about Juggalo culture and stuff. I think Nathan Rabin has one called, it doesn't matter. But yes, I saw the Faygo thing. I didn't know. I guess I didn't know.
Yeah. And I mean, it is like all these goofy things, but like, I don't know, I can find meaning in anything. And
no, I think that's the point, is there's this random chaotic energy of roaming the streets. Maybe,
yeah.
you know.
But like, I kind of see it as like, all these people are in their own world doing this super weird thing. They see this growing group coming towards them, and they're like, you know what? I'd rather be with like this crowd, like everyone like super hyped, positive energy. They're leaving whatever they were doing to join along.
Critical Mass music video or something.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, there's all kinds of weird stuff. Some of my favorite stuff is, you know, they're performing the song and they're singing it on the bikes, and every now and then a band member will be running behind presumably the camera in the car, and the drummer Time is like throwing down with his drumsticks. Kyle, the bassist, is like doing everything he can just to hold on the bass while he's running down the road, because like basses are pretty heavy. He's not that short. He has like basically one good hand, and he's just like, everyone else is like thrashing and he's just like struggling to hold on to the bass, which I thought was like so awesome and so funny. And yeah, eventually they all get to the court where they're performing, and again, they're climbing the fences. It's very feeling this. Everyone rode through the day, you know, hours from sun up to sundown just to see this band. And I think there's probably some kind of subliminal messaging of like, the band's growing, they're gaining popularity, you know, that kind of thing. And I don't know, man, like bikes just seemed so important weirdly in the pop punk scene in 2010. Lots of like writing about bikes. Soupy had an elegy for Baby Blue when someone stole his bike, and always sang about riding his bike and stuff. Oh man, it's such a good product of 2009, and there aren't many reasons why I'd ever want to go back in time. And if I could just isolate some experiences, it would be like seeing Fireworks perform this song for the first time, like seeing it live for the first time again.
Is essentially one of your college experiences, I would say.
Yeah, I mean, I think even right now it might be over-representing how important this band was at the time. It was more like a summer going.
Yeah, but still, it's like we joked a few weeks ago or a few weeks from now, I forget which order we all go in, but you know, we talked about it in 8th grade track meet sometimes on the show, where it was a really fun day, but it doesn't live in any specific, you're not like, it's fun to talk to your friends. What are your 5 favorite albums? What are your 5, you know, ranking things, but your brain doesn't really know that system. And they'll just be like, hey, remember this day? That day was fucking dope. So I don't think you have to be like, I don't know, judging it against anything else. That particular few stretch of weeks where you and Ryan got to see them a bunch, it's weird. I think that's kind of a testament to life being so, if you're fortunate to live as long as we have, I guess, which again, we're hopefully only a third of the way through, but you know, there's so many little corners and pockets of, you know, we've jokingly told the road trip story, our quote unquote road trip story on the show a couple times, but I'm not sure we scratched the surface of everything we've dialed into. So the fact that this is that important in your brain is like a file you're going to hang on to. I think there's importance in that just in general.
And it was one of those things where I don't even know how this song came into my head. It was like a few days ago, I was like making coffee and I was like, oh, Fireworks was a band that was sick. I wonder if that was before 2010. But I want to get into some of the lyrics, you know, reading them right in front of me.
You ready for my third question?
Oh, yeah.
Ding, 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 ding. No, I'm adding in my own dings so you don't have to edit in club horns to keep the editing easier.
Thank you.
Do bikes go faster at 3 a.m. as a biker?
Yeah. To quote the song.
Whoa.
Okay. So I think this might actually be the reason why I wanted to present the song to you, because you've used how fast you can ride a bike as a, no pun intended, a vehicle for the intensity of a song. And it started with, I think, the 4 Year Strong episode. You're like, breaking land speed records, never ridden a bike this fast in my life. I blink my eyes, I'm through the entire city of Erie. And
yeah, Say Anything and 4 Year Strong were my senior year of high school bike riding albums.
And I mean, the whole meaning of this song is just like overwhelming anger, anxiety, getting out of the house, going anywhere, riding your bike, taking a walk, doing it over and over and over. And the few times that you've mentioned doing the bike rides was when you were like wrestling with stuff in your head. And like the line of this song, there's only like 7 lines in the whole song. I didn't realize how like little it's actually saying, or how much it's saying in so few words, let's say. But the line, "We were overthinking again, bikes ride faster at 3 a.m." And I don't know,
That's
man.
the show. Thanks for listening, everybody. That's all of it. That's the only thing we ever... But for real, though, it eerily... Yeah, I mean, that's, I think, a common human, right?
Yeah, I mean, because I, especially, which would have been my freshman year of college, tons of anxiety. I really struggled with my first year of college, mainly because I was straight edge in a new city, didn't know anyone. Everyone was just trying to party, yada, yada. But I bought a bike, started building it. And every day, I mean, all day and all night, I would ride this bike. And I don't know how many times I'd be like laying in bed. It's 1 a.m. I can't sleep, get on the bike and ride as hard as I can, like not knowing where I'm going. My phone didn't even have GPS at the time, and just trying to make my way back and like ripping through the city of DC, not really going anywhere in particular. And I don't know how many miles I put on that bike after midnight, but it was a substantial amount over the years I was in that city. And I think that there is, I mean, bikes ride faster at 3 a.m. That's almost like something I would like want to have tattooed on me, because it just feels like no truer word has been spoken ever in history of man. And I feel it so fucking hard. And I don't know. I thought, you know, maybe you missed the time where you can really be that emotionally connected to this song, but it reminded me of some stuff that you've mentioned before. Maybe this could be something that kind of slips into your modern day rotation of, you know, whatever we're listening to. But I really didn't know how much I appreciated how much they're portraying in like less than 10 lines of lyrics. And again, it gets a little off base near the end, you know, talking about the phone calls. I don't really get what that's about. I'm sure there's a very good story behind it. It was fun live screaming presidential threats. It's even more fun now, yada, yada. Hi, FBI, for listening in. And we don't need to get political.
I'm just letting you run here for a minute.
I don't know, man. This might be like something anyone who's listening to this show, I guess, hit us up on Twitter @_reminiscent_FM. I only knew, like, in my life, one other dude that fucking loved fireworks, and it was Ryan. And I don't know, maybe there's other people out there. They're putting out new music. It's very different. Still very excited for it. Slight change up in some of the band members, but I feel like it's just one of those bands that deserves way more respect. Maybe they couldn't write a perfect Adam Schlesinger hook that just made sense, fit the motif.
I'm not saying it had to be him. I'm saying the Wonder Years were doing... I don't know what I'm saying. I didn't mean... Not everything has to be pop. I don't want the takeaway from this episode to be like Tom believes in art and Pat wants pop to overtake our souls. I really don't want that to be the takeaway. What I'm saying is... it's such a strong chorus after the whoa-oh, and the other ideas are so different and special and new and fun and energetic. I was just curious I'm just curious what your thoughts were. That's it. I don't want this. What I'm saying is I don't want this narrative to be like, Pat only likes poppy shit. He's a douchebag. So it's just not.
There's
not
the clip for the show.
Oh my God. Well, you control the audiogram, so I got to be careful what I say at all times.
Let's run that back again one more time, actually. But I don't know. I guess I'm surprised that, do you think it's a different energy in the chorus from the verse?
I don't know. I just think it's a little scatterbrained, but I'm not trying to shit on it. It's just meanders. That's all. There's a bridge, and then the rest of this, like the last third of the song is like a whole nother thing.
Yeah.
Like for the energy of the chorus, I expected to hear it another couple times after the bridge as it, fades out. I don't know. Just maybe my brain has been poisoned by music in general, and I'm glad they exploded in the art that they made for this specific thing. But it's an interesting collection of noises, and I was pumped as after hearing it. I'm just asking if perhaps it was a little, But yeah, it's a young band writing a song that hit. I don't know. It's good. I'm not saying it's bad, but I think you know what I'm trying to say. That's all.
Yeah. No, I mean, it trails off. It loses a little bit of steam by the end, but...
Like, if I don't get to say whoa, oh at the end, it's like, why'd I whoa, whoa at the beginning? I don't know.
Fair enough, dude. Fair enough.
I think that's what I'm trying to say. I don't know. It's just like, oh, we're going to get real thoughtful for like the last third of the song? Okay.
Anyway.
And again, it's good. It's good.
Yeah. No, I don't really have too much else to say. I kind of just wanted to be super self-indulgent and just like remember it in real time. It's just, I don't know, man. I want more for this band. I want to see what they're up to.
We hit some different nostalgic stories because of it. So I think, if there's a lesser known episode every now and again, I don't think that's such a sin. Unless if you disagree, tweet at us, flood us with stop doing this tweets. But I think, it's fun. I haven't thought about Andy Huck in a while. He's a really good guy. Yeah,
I don't know what people want to hear. Do you want the nostalgic stories? I don't know.
Well, I don't know. It's a show called Reminiscence. So
You guys, we're going to do what we want.
yeah. I mean, it's not like we listen to the requests every once in a while, but after watching the Futures episode, we're just like trying our best over here a little bit. So we haven't even done a Deja Intendo episode yet, or it might have aired by this. Yeah. I don't know. Or let me rephrase. We haven't even done a Where You Want to Be episode yet. So relax.
Well, Pat, thank you for letting me just gush. I feel like the worst episodes we do are when I just gush, but...
Well, after begging you for weeks and weeks to just give me a Weezer hour, you bitch, for weeks, I just like really was goading you so hard into doing that it was only fair after acting like such a diva that I should let you talk for a little while about a song you kind of like for no apparent reason. No, I'm just kidding. You want to do Song of the Week?
Yeah, let's do it.
I'm going to go super basic, but Blinding Lights by The Weeknd. I don't know. Jesse and I, we downloaded TikTok in the quarantine for like entertainment purposes. Obviously very funny. Obviously I'm old for being this late to the game, but that's like one of the more recent songs that people seem to be spoofing. But also, he's a talent. The kid's got it. I don't know what it is, but he's got it. You know what I'm saying? So I was watching Uncut Gems and The Weeknd was like famous at the time the movie takes place, which is like a decade ago. I'm like, so for me now to be like, hey, that Weeknd guy's pretty good. It's like, yeah, man. No, he's been doing his thing for a while. No, I'm kidding. Like his first album, actually hanging with Mark and Kevin, kept Mark, they're like up on like new YouTube people, but they actually had me on The Weeknd a little earlier than most things. But either way, shout out to The Weeknd for remaining famous. I don't know, whatever. It's a good song.
All right. I think this comes again from Dickinson, the Apple TV Plus show that cannot recommend it enough. Super good. The song 2 Million by G Flip. Just a nice little tune. I haven't had a ton of new music lately. I've been distracted with a couple other things and helping our buddy Zach produce kind of some new music. I've just been listening to that on repeat for a little bit.
Give him a shout out. Or no, it's not up anywhere.
It's not up anywhere. Maybe we'll play a sample after one of these episodes coming up. But most of my music for, the better half of a year and a half has been stuff I've heard on TV shows from Letterkenny and You're the Worst and Dickinson Now and all kinds of stuff. But
I might have to watch You're the Worst just because you reference it so often.
Oh my God, Pat. I'll watch it again with you and I'll start a You're the Worst rewatch podcast with you.
If you do that before we get a chance to do a watch along That Thing You Do episode, then I will be very upset.
All right. Well,
even though that would make an awful podcast. Like, hey, they talk about Erie again. Dope. I love being from Erie. Nice. Cool. Thanks for being here, everybody. That's it. We just did it. Even though I still want to, I really that is what I want to do because I think we missed the premiere of it on YouTube, recording one of the podcasts recently, and yeah, at this point, I'm not sure when this airs, but I'll have to see whether or not I am able to catch it post liveness. Man, I'm losing it. Anyway, we should wrap this up.
All right, to the post show. I love you, man, and
love you too, buddy.
Talk to you in 2 seconds. Bye.
Bye.
Hey everybody, thank you so much for being here as always. It was really fun to explore one of these, I guess, to the show kind of newer songs, 2009 era. This is such an important band to me at the time, and I'm starting to fall in love with them all over again. Hit us up on Twitter at _reminiscentfm. Let us know if you have any awesome Fireworks memories, if you caught them on tour, first time you heard them, whatever. And head over to the post show on Patreon, patreon.com/reminiscent. We'll talk to you all next week, and we love you all. Bye, everyone.
Tom believes in art and Pat wants pop to overtake our souls. No, Pat only likes poppy shit. He's a douchebag.